What is going on, guys? For today we are checking out Recluse in Elden Ring Nightreign. This guide will serve as your ultimate companion for mastering the Recluse class. We'll break down everything you need to know, starting from the core class overview to specific build recommendations, the best armaments and the weapon passives, detailed stats and attributes, spell choices, talismans, consumables, and finally a gameplay overview packed with practical tips to bring your Recluse to the peak performance. Also, if you're interested in buying other PC or console games with 50 or 70% discount, then check out Instant Gaming. For example, I want to buy Elden Ring, so we just click on Add to Cart, then click Pay, then input our details and pay. After payment is complete, we will receive activation key, then copy and paste the key in, and it's that simple. So, what are you waiting for? Click my link description and check out Instant Gaming for yourself. So Recluse is a high skill, high reward archetype that thrives on elemental mastery and magical adaptability. She is a powerful hybrid caster who draws strength from every element in the game, so magic, fire, lightning and the holy, by combining them into devastating spells through her signature mechanic, the Magic Cocktail. This mechanic lets Recluse absorb elemental residues from the enemies and the environment, and then unleash them as volatile and explosive spells. And since Elden Ring Nightreign does not use traditional flasks, so Magic Cocktail is also crucial for regenerating FP by consuming the elemental aura of the fallen enemies or the marked targets. Her ultimate ability, the Soul Blood Song, marks the enemies with the blood sigils. Any damage dealt to the marked targets by Recluse or her allies will return HP and the FP, allowing her to sustain longer fights and support the party while dishing out incredible amounts of burst damage. The Soul Blood Song is especially impactful during boss fights, as her sustained pressure and the healing matter a lot. What makes Recluse unique is her ability to pivot between the damage types depending on the enemy weaknesses, and her resourceful kit that rewards precise spell management, positioning and timing. She's all about reading the battlefield, layering her elements and erupting with the spell combos that leave nothing standing. So first we have the All Elements Recluse build that focuses on maximum elemental coverage and the full utilization of the Magic Cocktail. This build equips Recluse with the ability to absorb a mix of all four elements, so the magic, fire, lightning and the holy. By equipping spell tools like the Recluse's Staff, the Golden Ordeal Seal and even the hybrid options like the Carrion Glintblade Staff, it will open the door to massive burst potential through the layered spellcasting. Magic Glintblade and the Stars of Ruin will provide reliable magic output, while the fire-based incantations like the Catch Flame and the Theodoric's Magma will deal AoE damage and provide zoning power. You can also add Lightning Spear for the long-range punishment and the holy spells like the Elden Stars, or the crowd control and the pressure. The core idea is to constantly rotate elements to keep the Magic Cocktail charged, while using the Soul Blood Song as a sustain engine in the extended battles. Talismans like the Graven Mass, Godfrey Icon and the Cloud Talisman will enhance the spell potency and reduce FP cost by keeping your spell loop going. This build excels in PvE, where the enemies have varied resistances, and in longer fights which demand FP conversion and a sustained AoE. And then for the second setup, we have the focused Magic Recluse build, which is a more of a straightforward version that hones in on magic and the fire elements for direct damage. This build jobs the full elemental coverage in a favor of a high damage fast cast options that abuse FP to damage ratios. The Glintstone Pebble and the Comet are your openers, while the Stars of the Ruin will let you melt evasive targets. I also recommend to mix in the Catch Flame or the Fall Upon the Flame, and maintain close control of your Magic Cocktail charges for the self-healing and the FP top-ups during battle. You also want to use talismans that boost specific spell types and charge damage like the Graven Mass Talisman and the Radagon Icon. This build is perfect for soloing bosses or for dealing with specific enemy types quickly. Well, of course you're sacrificing the flexibility of the all elemental build, but in return you gain a consistent high output spell damage with minimal setup. Next up, let's take a look at her best weapons and the passives. Recluse's power relies on her staff and seal and her ability to mix elemental effects rapidly. The best weapons for her are those that enhance sorcery potency, or allow the hybrid casting without overloading the stat investment. The Lucid's Glintstone Staff is a top tier choice for the raw sorcery damage, especially when paired with spells like the Stars of the Ruin. The Golden Ordeal Seal also helps to boost holy and the hybrid damage, and fits perfectly into the all element setup. Then the Carrion Regal Scepter is another excellent pick for players focusing more on intelligence scaling. Then for your weapon passives, you should focus on improving charge spell damage and lowering the FP consumption. Boosted FP efficiency will let you cast longer without needing to rely on the magic cocktail as often, while improved charge sorceries will passively ramp up the damage from the spells like the Comet, Lightning Spear and the Fall upon the Flame. You want a setup that enhances your spellcasting rhythm and allows you to mix elements without draining your FP pool too quickly. Next up we have the stats and attributes, and your Recluse will scale primarily with the Intelligence and the Fate, which are your two most important stats. You'll want to invest in both heavily to get most out of the hybrid spell selection. Intelligence will boost traditional sorceries and the staff scaling, while the Fate empowers incantations and the Holy/Fire damage spells. Then Mind is the next key stat, since it determines your FP pool, allowing for longer casting sequences and more sustained elemental cycling through the magic cocktail. Higher Mind also gives you more cushion for emergencies and fewer downtime in the moments for the fight. The Vigor is also worth investing into, not just to survive boss hits, but also to avoid one-shots against fast-moving mobs. And then for the rest like Dexterity and Strength, you want to keep them low unless you're working with a fast cast gear, while Endurance only matters if you're aiming for heavier armor to offset the Recluse's natural squishiness, but of course I don't recommend it. Next up we have our best spells. The core of the Recluse gameplay will lie in her spell selection and the ability to combo elemental types. You want to build a toolkit that gives you flexibility, pressure, and a burst, all while fueling magic cocktail efficiency. I recommend to start with sorceries like the Glintstone Pebble and the Comet, or standard range harassment. Also, you can add in fire spells like the Catch Flame for quick burst damage, or the Theodoric's Magma for the aerial denial and the lingering AoV control. Also, Lightning Spear and the Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike will provide excellent range and vertical coverage, which are ideal for dealing with flying or elevated targets. Then holy spells like the Elden Stars and the Discuss of Light will help to round out your kit with zoning tools and combo setups. The key here is to never lock yourself into one element. Having multiple damage types at your disposal will ensure that you're always prepared to counter enemy resistances. And most importantly, don't forget to keep the magic cocktail stacked at all times. Next up we have Talismans, which is the place where you can fine-tune your Recluse build into a real powerhouse. The Graven Mass Talisman is a non-negotiable since it gives a flat boost sorcery damage and fits perfectly with your intelligence investment. The Godfrey icon will boost the charge spells, which play well with your long cast nukes and the elemental combos. Then Cloud Talisman is vital for reducing FP usage, especially in long fights where the magic cocktail's recharge is limited. Then for survivability and sustain, the Crimson Repulse Talisman will offer healing on damage, which synergizes perfectly with the Soul Blood Song. It keeps you topped off during group fights and adds a layer of passive regeneration. Then for one of the last ones we got Consumables, which gives Recluse her edge in the prolonged fights. The Starlight Shards are your best friend. They offer gradual FP regeneration over time, letting you stay into the fight for longer, without relying entirely on the elemental absorption. Exalted Flesh is another strong pick where you're expecting to go full damage by buffing your physical and the hybrid output across multiple spells. Then Boiled Crab remains the best defensive option when you're under pressure, because it increases your physical resistance during hard-hitting encounters. If you are in areas with the Madness buildup or fighting enemies that cause mental affliction, then Clarifying White Cured Meat is also a strong tool to keep on hand. Overall, managing your status resistances is key to surviving longer fights, where even one stagger or debuff can result into a one-shot. And now finally, let's take a quick look at the gameplay. Recluse is all about reading the room, cycling your elemental tools and staying one step ahead. Your first goal in any fight should be identifying what elemental residue you can build for the magic cocktail, whether it's from the enemies, terrain or the prior spell cast. So open with the range pressure, keep moving and kite while building your charges. And once you build the residue, then use the magic cocktail to refresh FP, and then dive into a burst combo using bunch of spells or the charge casts. Also, the Soul Blood Song should be used when you're about to commit to a push or where your team is grouped up around marked targets. It creates a regeneration engine that allows you to outlast most enemies, while providing value to your allies. Also, time your spell combos between rolls and don't spam. Use the charge spells when the enemies are not facing you, and then punish with fast casting options or the residue AoV. On top of this, you should stay unpredictable by alternating elements. The real mastery of Recluse comes from knowing how to weave spells, maintain your pressure and keep the enemies reacting instead of attacking. So let me know what you think about Recluse and her build in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, then you definitely don't want to miss my previous videos, where I showed the best classes, most broken builds and much more. So click the screen now and I'll see you in the next one.